Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Shama Ashram in Cali, Colombia. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host Raghunath and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Monday. We call it Makeover Monday. It's a day. Whatever you did wrong last week, we're going to set you got a clean slate. It's Monday. So time to get back on track. You know, one thing we recognize here at Wisdom of the Sages is, you ever buy an old car? When you buy an old car, sometimes you inherit the issues of the previous owner, right? And so if that person was just like neglected that car, didn't take care of it, you purchase that new car for you, but it's got some issues. It pulls to the right. Maybe it shoots off exhaust, or maybe it's got weird clicking sound, or whatever it is. That's called the dented can. It's like purchasing something that already has issues. When we get this body, there's a tendency to think like, I've got a brand new car. No, we're inheriting a body with proclivities from previous lives, from previous choices, from previous karmas. And some of us are really barely just keeping it on the road. We're just barely keeping our car on the road. That's why we have our 12-step Bhakti recovery group. For people who are interested in Bhakti recovery, it's like a 12-step program, but instead of calling God the higher power, we call it Sweet Baby Krishna. This is a Bhakti recovery group, but we're all sort of driving around in sort of like reckless, old, damaged vehicles. And welcome to the podcast to help drive straight. And we're working on it. We're works in progress. The best way to do it is to show up on a regular basis, hear transcendental knowledge, and by hearing on a regular basis, we start to change our choices. From changing our choices, we start to change ourselves. We start to change our destiny. Happy Monday, everybody.
All right.
We are here live. We got a whole new program here, Kaustubha Ji.
I know, new retreat starts.
Academy. Wisdom of the Sages crew is gone, and we got a whole new crew here. Quite exciting. We started this morning.
I'll stop by today and say hello to everyone.
They're all, where's Kaustubha? Where's Kaustubha? I said, he's in hiding. He's in hiding. He's in creative seclusion. What's going on with you?
I have an announcement to make. And you know what? It ties in with the interview that we did yesterday.
Yeah, what an interview, huh? Can you place that YouTube, that 60 Minutes YouTube link where Prahlad was a little boy? Anyway, if you missed the interview yesterday with Sri Prahlad, it was so good. And he was on 60 Minutes Australia, and there's a link to it when he was a little child. And
it's called Children of Krishna Australian Gurukul. And if you go to about 4.5 minutes in, you get like what looks like, I don't know, a 4 or 5-year-old Sri Prahlad in the river, like just singing his little heart out. It's like,
and he's still doing it. He's still singing his heart out.
Yeah, it's like purity, and it's like he came from another world to sing, to glorify Krishna with his voice. But so he spoke yesterday boy, you know, Raghunath, I never fully realized how it was like as a little boy, he spearheaded that whole campaign to free the Soviet
I didn't quite get that
devotees.
either.
I knew he was
I
saying the song and everything, but
I
I
thought he might
don't.
have been a puppet for
Yeah,
other people, like working the strings. Let's get the kids to sing a song to
yeah.
Gorbachev. But it was like he was writing the letters. He was going to the newspapers. It was pretty inspirational. And some kids just show that from an early childhood. They're like just focused on their spiritual. Some people get it when they're like in their 20s. They get some calling. Some people get it in their 40s or like the midlife crisis. Should I get should I get like a Corvette or should I turn to God? And some people get it in their old age. Like, what have I done with my life? And some people never get the calling their entire life. And it's like Sri Prahlad got it from like 5.
Or even less, whatever. It's amazing. And so he spoke about, and for those who haven't yet listened to that interview, which was this Sunday's interview, what was that episode, Mara?
642.
642. We should do something special for 650.
All right. But so he spoke about how as a little boy, he heard about the plight of the Bhakti-yogis, the Krishna devotees in the Soviet Union, who were, it really was absolutely horrible. They were, arrested and thrown in labor camps, and many of them died there. And it was just a brutal regime that just just completely crushed these people. And so he heard about that. And as a little boy, how was old? He was like 10 years old or something like that. He decided, what can I do? He wrote this song to Gorbachev, "Please let our friends go." And then they recorded that song, and then they brought it to all the different radio stations, and then EMI Records picked it up, and it just the whole thing just blew up. And that, along with other efforts, led
Then the prime
to,
minister of Australia read the letter
right,
to Gorbachev personally. And while there was a lot of international pressure, international community getting down. Hey, you're imprisoning innocent people. It's a religious persecution. You got to free these people. And so while they were freeing a bunch of Jews who were being persecuted, he said, hey, these Hare Krishnas, you got to let these guys go too. And he did, and Gorbachev did. And what a huge, what a huge contribution for a child to make.
It's incredible. And so then he also described being in Moscow as the Iron Curtain was falling and what that experience was like. But so in that interview, he shared a bit about the plight of the Bhakti yogis who were undercover, back in the 70s in the Soviet Union. So now here's my announcement, is that there's a really fantastic program that's led by Rukmini Devi, who's been a guest on our show. She's, of course, the mother of Gauravani, the fantastic kirtan singer. Just, one of these incredible people who, when she was like a 16-year-old girl, just kind of left home and found Srila Prabhupada in like 1966 or 67, and just gave her life. And she's just a empowered, deep Vaishnavi, deep Bhakti yogi. And so she hosts a program for the Bhakti Center called Urban Devi. You can find out more about that at urbandevi.com. It's a women's circle, like a women's Bhakti circle. So this announcement is for the ladies out there. But once a month they do a program on Zoom. And so that'll be this Sunday, January 30th at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. She's going to have a guest on. And that guest's name is Mandakini Devidasi. And this is
Mandakini.
Well, I believe it's pronounced Mandakini, but in any case, however you want to pronounce it.
All right.
She now, this is a woman, she's French woman. She's a French woman. And to just illustrate something of the nature of the complete surrender of these early disciples of Srila Prabhupada, Sri Prahlad spoke about how Prabhupada went to Moscow. In 1971, he went to Moscow for 3 days, right? The KGB was just following him everywhere he went.
Frozen, or were frozen.
Yeah. Oh. I don't know if you're frozen or me, but I was saying that Sri Prahlad mentioned about how Prabhupada in 1971 went to Moscow for 3 days. He wasn't really able to give any public lectures or really speak to anyone. He was just followed by the KGB, and he, just stayed in his hotel room. But Shyam Sundar, our friend, found one person, like in a store or a grocery store or something like that, and brought him to meet Srila Prabhupada, and that one person became Srila Prabhupada's disciple. And from that one person, bhakti spread, all throughout, in an underground way, again, at great personal risk, it spread all throughout the Soviet Union. And so this woman, Mandakini Devi Dasi, she was asked to go and marry that person, that one person, that one Krishna Bhakta.
It was one of those early arranged marriages.
It was an early, but imagine this wasn't just an arranged marriage. It was just like move to the Soviet Union behind the Iron Curtain, marry a person you never met for the purpose of spreading Bhakti-yogi, and that, give
in a completely illegal way that could risk your life.
Yeah.
That's called totally surrender to the guru's orders.
Yeah.
Imagine if Mara got that order. Would you do that? Mara would be like, okay, you're going to have to.
I haven't even learned the shlokas you guys have ordered me to.
I mean, imagine that.
We're trying to go easy. Once you learn the shlokas, then we're going to send you to Pakistan.
That's what I'm afraid of.
So anyway, currently it says that she regularly travels to Russia, providing venues for devotees who suffered in Soviet prisons to share their profound stories with others. So join Urban Devi this Sunday.
Can I join? Is it
no,
ladies
it's for
only?
Ladies. It's a ladies circle, Raghu. Just leave it.
What?
Like, give them their
Sexist?
space. Give them their space, Raghu. All right. Sometimes they need to not have guys like us around. Just to, you can have a men's
like
circle.
us.
So.
I'm very sensitive to ladies' needs.
Okay. In any case, join them as she speaks about her amazing experiences, as well as the experiences of these heroic bhakti yogis who laid the foundation for the explosive growth of bhakti in the Soviet Union. So if you want to attend that's this Sunday. It's at, what did I say? It's at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And if you want more information on this and get the link for that Zoom meeting, you go to bhakticenter.org/urban-devi. I'm trying to get them to get a better, easier URL than that, but I'll say it again.
Slug. We call it a slug.
A slug.
You know that?
bhakticenter.org/urban-devi. All right.
All right.
You got
Alrighty. Oh, I got a nug. It's from our good friend Thich Nhat.
Thich Nhat Hanh, who passed away
Nhat
last
Hanh.
week. Our respects to Thich Nhat Hanh.
Respect to Thich Nhat. He was
Vietnamese Buddhist monk.
deeply wise. Thich Nhat Hanh. We've got a Thich Nhat nug.
I knew you
ready?
couldn't resist that.
Thich Nhat nug. Little nugget, a little nugget of wisdom. Check this out. When you plant lettuce, if it does not grow well, you don't blame the lettuce.
No.
Look for reasons it's not doing well. It may need fertilizer or more water or less sun. You never blame the lettuce. Yet, if we have problems with our friends or family, we blame the other persons. But if we know how to take care of them, they will grow well, like the lettuce. Blaming has no positive effect at all, nor does trying to persuade using reason and argument. That is my experience. No blame, no reasoning, no argument, just understanding. If you understand and you show that you can understand, you can love, and the situation will change. And that's our Thich Nhat nug of the day.
I think that's
That was
there's
great
some wisdom in
advice,
there.
huh?
I believe so. I mean, I don't know if I'm ready to throw reason completely out the door, but I think there's a time for it,
Surrender your reason, my friend.
Okay.
Surrender to the nug.
I
No,
surrender to that.
that is such a great thing. We live in a world of blame. I want the entire world to change, but I don't want to understand.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah. Seek first to understand, and then
To be understood.
Yep. Good
That's
point.
good stuff. This is stuff. This is why we're trying. This is, when you take that old jalopy, you find an old jalopy and you put in it, drop in a new engine, you grease up the axles. Luke Carmen, I don't know how to fix a car, but you know
Grease
what I'm
up
talking
the
about.
axle.
Get the dents out of it, give it a new paint job. This is what we're doing. Rewire it. This is what we're doing. We've got some damaged vehicles. That's okay. It's not I'm okay and you're okay. It's I'm not okay, you're not okay, and that's okay. We're working on it. We're working on it. We're works in progress. We're rewiring this whole machine, recalibrating it. We got to get this thing back on the road. We've been driving recklessly. We need information. We need wisdom on a regular basis because we're out of control.
Let's get it under control. And you know how we get it under control, Raghu?
Hearing and chanting the Srimad Bhagavatam. That's not my
I just
method.
set you up and I teed it up and you nailed it, Raghu. That was perfect.
It's not my method, man. It's Vyasadev's method.
Right.
It's not my method. My method is reckless, out of control, worthless. This is Vyasadev's method. And truthfully, as yoga teachers, that's what we're supposed to be presenting. We're supposed to be presenting yoga. We're not supposed to present the Raghunath show. Who cares about the Raghunath show? We're here to represent yoga, not give our own faulty, flimsy opinions.
Speculative
nonsense.
Right, Raghu's getting heavier. He's decided we're coming on strong today, right?
Coming on strong today.
All right.
I'm preaching to myself, man.
All right, do it. I'm taking it in myself, so go for it.
All right, ready for the Srimad Bhagavatam? Hey, by the way, I gotta advertise my trip to Nepal. We're going to Nepal. Hiking, trekking, hearing, chanting, kirtan, sacred places, darshan of the Himalayas,
and cute hats.
And great hats. Great. And that is going to be March 13th. Check out my website, www.raghunath.yoga. Okay.
I was going to say, does Mayor have any other announcements for today?
We have Back to Recovery group meetings today at 1 and 9:30 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay.
All right. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshu badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome in the heart become eradicated in loving service to the Supreme Lord, whose praise with transcendental songs will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Madatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet.
Reading from Canto 4, Chapter 6, Text 48.
So what's happening, Raghu? What's happening right now?
Let's see, Lord Shiva. You can't ask me on Monday because we haven't done this since Friday.
So I'll serve you. So Lord Brahma, along with all the Brahmanas and the demigods who had neglected Lord Shiva, offended Lord Shiva, and had their whole religious ceremony just completely upended and uprooted and wiped out, and literally urinated upon. Right.
Yeah.
So they all went to Brahma with their tail between their legs. Help us! What did we do wrong? And Brahma said, "Come on, man. You know, you offended a great soul like Lord Shiva. What you expect? You're going to have an auspiciousness after that? You know, that's only going to invite inauspiciousness into your life. We got to go, and there's only one way to deal with this when you offend someone, right, Raghu?
Go to their lotus feet and ask for forgiveness.
That's right. You got to humble yourself a little bit. You know, it's healthy for us to humble ourselves every now and then.
It's healthy for us. And people who practice bhakti, if someone says, "Hey, will you please forgive me?" they immediately say, "I take no offense. I take no offense."
We'll see how Lord Shiva handles it, right? So Lord Brahma led all that whole crew over there, and they saw the beauty of Kailash where he was living, and Brahma began to speak, you know, and he began to, you know, just say, let's try to work this out. Let's try to bring auspiciousness to everyone. And so was that text 47 today, Mary? Is that what you said?
48.
Text 48. Nice.
My dear Lord, in some places, materialists who are already bewildered by the insurmountable illusory energy of the Supreme Godhead sometimes commit offenses. A saintly person with compassion does not take this seriously. knowing that they commit offenses because they are overpowered by the illusory energy. He does not show his prowess to counteract them. So great
Interesting.
sages can get offended. I mean, they might get offenses. People might offend them, but they're not taking offense because they understand this poor soul is under so much illusion, that they just pray for the resurrection of their spiritual life. Huh? Why? Hey, Kaustubha. Why do we hear like great sages get offended all the time? Sometimes you hear about, and then he cursed him. We just read this story yesterday. I curse you to become a stone, or I curse you to become a lizard, or I curse, right? Why do you hear about these great sages cursing people?
Well, sometimes
If they don't take offense.
Well, sometimes it's not always a great sage. It's someone who's still kind of bewildered by. And we saw that Daksha, he had power to curse, but his cursing wasn't coming from the platform of pure devotion. It was all mixed with his own materialistic thinking. And so he felt offended and he became angry and he acted out of anger. Now, sometimes Narada will curse, right? Narada, who did Narada curse? He cursed a pair. No hymns.
Mara, who did Narada curse? Keep it quiet on the message board.
He's on the message board.
Even Domino Priya doesn't know this one.
Who did
Of
Narada
course she
curse?
does. Yeah, of course she does. You mentioned them the other day on the show when we had another quiz. That's why I brought it to you, because I thought she's surely going to get it. She's unstumpable. She'll get this one. Okay, we got to start giving hints, Raghu.
Yeah. He could hop over that. He could float over the fence right there if he wanted to.
No, we're thinking about someone else.
Oh, that's Narada. That's Narada. Okay, who did Narada curse?
Well, it was a pair of brothers.
Intoxicated teenagers.
Yeah.
Prodigal sons.
Nala Kuvera and Managriva.
Thank
There
you.
you
Good
Sons of
job.
Kubera.
Sons of Kubera.
So that was the case where Narada, who's on this enlightened state, in this enlightened state of bhakti, he's moving through the forest and he comes across these two wealthy sons of demigods, right? And they're just kind of partying in the lake. They're all naked. They got a bunch of girls there. They're all naked. Everybody's getting drunk. And when Narada comes by, they should have sobered up a little. They should have been a little respectful, but
What are we doing partying in a lake?
Excuse us. Yeah,
Excuse
A
us.
little bit of embarrassment might have been, the right.
And the ladies were embarrassed. They were like, "Oh,
They were embarrassed.
embarrassing. There's a great sage." It's just like if you're having a party and a priest walks in, or something. It's just like awkward.
This is just more like an orgy. This is like
it was a
really-
little orgy, truthfully, if you read the.
Yeah.
But the ladies were this is embarrassing, but they were just like, "Who cares? Who cares?"
Yeah.
And then Narada just
That's
started
the
cursing.
point. So he cursed them. Now, what was that curse? Was it to harm them or to help them? You see,
It was like a child getting chastised by a mother
that's right.
out of love.
There you go. So
Except
that's
they
my
had
answer.
to be a tree for like millennia.
But a tree for millennia until.
They got into Nanda Maharaj's courtyard. The tree in Nanda Maharaj's courtyard.
Yeah, Krishna's father, his courtyard.
Yeah, Krishna's father's courtyard. So they were sitting in that courtyard until Krishna appeared. And then Krishna, with that tied around the waist with a big grinding mortar, got it caught between those trees and boom, popped those trees down. That was part of the curse. They'd be liberated by Sri Krishna. And then out of those trees, they learned a lesson. That's what happens, hopefully, when you do time in the material world. That's what we're doing here. We're doing time in the material world, hopefully learning lessons. We're not here because life's a party and life's a blast and everything's cool and life is good. We're here to learn lessons. If I'm not learning lessons, then I have to do more time in the material world.
That's Mara's noting that down. We're doing time in the material world, hopefully learning lessons. I like that, Raga. That's the t-shirt.
If we don't learn the lessons, we get them again. I know that in my own life. If I don't learn a lesson, it happens again.
Okay. So two lessons here, right? There's the one lesson is to tread with care, with everyone you meet. What to speak of great souls, deeply Lord Shiva himself, right?
And then the other tread with care. She wrote that one down too. Tread with care. Tread with care.
And then the other one is the other lesson here is the lesson. There's so many lessons come out in this pastime, right? But another lesson here in this verse, it has to do with Lord Shiva and how he takes note. And this is one of your pillars of bhakti, right? He takes no offense.
Takes no offense.
Takes
It's
no
big.
offense.
It's a big one. It's a big one because
Well, here's a clue.
once I get offended, that is the first domino of a whole bunch of other lower emotions that keep me in material consciousness.
That's right.
Envy, anger, resentment, spite, revenge. They all come with that first thing of you've offended me.
And
You've hurt me. This is where you went wrong. Here's the file I'm keeping on you.
And that file is just like kind of like taking over everything else, right?
It
It's
it
a
consumes
virus.
the being in the same way. I always use the analogy of ever make sauerkraut, Kaustubha? Do you eat
Never.
fermented foods? Do you eat fermented foods?
I'll eat a dosa. I'll eat a.
That's it. Isn't that
idli.
interesting? He's such a Vaishnav. He doesn't even eat kimchi. Well, anyway, if you make sauerkraut at home, you chop it, you smash it, you mush it, you put, you cover it up with the outside of the cabbage leaf, and you hide it somewhere in your house, like in a closet
Anywhere
or something like
under-
that. Anywhere.
under the
But it's got to be
couch?
slightly warm.
Where
And
do
then you
put it?
forget about it. And you forget about it until the day you come home and you're like, oh, what's the smell? And it takes that little pot, that fermentation takes over the smell of your entire house. And that's when you know the sauerkraut's ready. So resentment's the same way. It stays there, it ferments, and it takes over the
Stinks.
whole consciousness. It stinks up your whole consciousness. It becomes stinking thinking.
Love it, Rob. Okay, very good. Now, you mentioned that if you maintain that in your mind, you said resentment and a series of other mind games there, mind states. What's the antidote? What's the cure? Someone does something to you that's not appreciated. Where does the Bhakti-yogi go? That's going to be addressed in this very important commentary by Srila Prabhupada. First sentence. In this first sentence, there's so much to grasp, so much to gain from. You ready?
Ready? Let's take this in.
Srila Prabhupada writes, it is said that the beauty of a tapasvi. Now, what is a tapasvi?
One who's performing austerity for some higher benefit.
Okay. So, yeah, generally when we think of tapasvi, we think of someone fasting. We think of someone, living in a cave without a bed. They're sleeping on the
Secluded life.
ground. They got very few clothes, maybe just a loincloth. They're living
Renouncing stuff.
Renouncing stuff. But so this is so great. You're renouncing stuff. Let's keep it right there, okay? It is said that the beauty of a tapasvi or saintly person is, what's their beauty? Forgiveness. Right. So that's that. In one sense, that's the hardest thing to give up. Even if, like, say, someone's like on their spiritual path and getting serious about it, and they even start to renounce stuff, we commonly mistake renunciation for the goal of spiritual life. It's not. It can help be part of the means, but the goal is not renunciation, to let go of all material. The goal is devotion. The goal is pure love. That's where the yoga path ultimately leads to. So a tapasvi's beauty, what is harder to give up? One could say, is it harder to give up the comforts of home? Or is it harder to give up feelings of being offended when you're not treated exactly the way you want to be treated? Right? So it's the beauty of the tapasvi, right, is that no matter what people do to them, how people treat you, sometimes people don't respect the renunciates, right? Why don't you do something for the world? What's your problem? You're useless. Get a job. That kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Get a job.
They just forgive, right? They don't defend. They don't get angry. They forgive. So it is said that the beauty of the so if we want to do some austerity, if we want to be a real yogi, think about this. Can I forgive? Can I let it go? Now, he goes on to say, there are many instances in the spiritual history of the world in which many saintly persons, although unnecessarily harassed, did not take action, although they could have done so. Now, Srila Prabhupada gives a great example, right, from the first canto. Parikshit Maharaj, we haven't even said his name in forever, right? It's like this whole thing is being spoken to him. Parikshit Maharaj, for example, was unnecessarily cursed by a Brahmana boy. How did that happen, Raghu? What went on?
Well, he did the old put the old dead snake trick around Parikshit Maharaj. Okay. what happened was Prickett did the old put the dead snake. He was the king.
What was he doing? Where was he?
Okay, let me show. All right, here we go. Ready? So Prickett was very thirsty. He had a whole entourage traveling through the forest, needed some water. He's the emperor. He gets off the horse. Excuse me. He goes to a sage's hermitage. The sage was sitting in meditation, and he said, "Excuse me, the king's here. Need a little water. Please help me out."
No, he was alone. I don't think he had a whole entourage with him.
Okay, let me just embellish.
but it's not helping. It's hurting the story. He's there alone, thirsty, tired, wiped out. He shows up at the ashram of this sage. He's asking for water. Go.
Okay. And so, of course, the sage is in deep meditation. He's not even hearing what's going on. And the king is like, hello, hear me out here. The king's here. Need some water. Can you help me? Sage still sitting in meditation. And he's frustrated now. Now, generally, we just want to understand this king is a very pious king, but he lost his cool a little bit. He goes, he's a little frustrated. And he sees a dead snake on the ground.
Super thirsty. He was pushed to his limit. It was unusual that he would react this way.
Scathing.
Is
that a word? Was thirst? Scathing?
No.
No, I just made that up. Forget that. He wasn't scathing. Slaked.
Slaked is once you drink, then I think.
All right,
that's
forget
slake's a thirst.
Anyway, he did the old put the dead snake around the neck trick. So he found a dead snake, picked it up, and said, here's your garland, O great sage. And he put a dead snake garland. Sadhu didn't even notice a dead snake, and then he came out of trance and he was shocked. He was shocked by this dead snake, and he freaked out. Just like the rubber snake.
He didn't freak out.
I had to go over down Eco Village.
He did not freak out, Raghu.
He was shocked. He wasn't angry.
No, he was
his
totally
young
indifferent.
son was angry. Can I tell the story?
If you tell it right, yeah. I'm wondering, can you tell it? That's the question.
The point is, I'm going to get to the point, and the point is what makes the difference.
That's right.
Seek the essence, Kaustubha. Seek the essence.
Okay.
Okay. Then his son, he saw what was going on, and he cursed the king.
Okay. Now his son was young and powerful, right?
Yeah, young, powerful teenager, Brahmin boy. That's a problem. He's not ready to handle that responsibility, so he cursed the king. And then the sage was like, "Why'd you curse the king?"
What was the curse?
The curse is that he was going to die in 7 days.
By the bite of the snake bird.
By the bite of the
fiery
snake bird.
Yeah.
Ish.
Creature.
Yes.
Okay.
Creature. And creature was going to bite the king. Now, this father was very angry. He said, "Hey, don't you understand what a king does? A king protects and organizes and maintains an entire society. You can't just curse him. You just got to become a little tolerant. You got to be a little bit more understanding." Here was the deal. He was thirsty. I was in meditation. I didn't recognize him. He thought I was neglecting him. I wasn't neglecting him. I was out of it. I should be apologizing. He's the king. He needs some water. But the fact is, I have to be a little bit more understanding. You got to be like that. You can't just take these powers and start cursing everybody you see.
But he knew that his son's curse was very powerful, so he sent messengers to King Parikit to let him know about the curse.
And the king just wanting radical responsibility, like they were going to undo the curse. And he said, "You know what? I've made an offense, and I deserve this. I'm going to take this curse on. I'm not going to keep this thing going for my next life. Here it is. It's time to die." And in 7 days, he had to pack his bags, figure out life, get to the bottom of the meaning of life, go into the forest, find a guru, and say, what is the meaning? What is the purpose of a man about to die? Like, what am I supposed to do? I've wrapped up my material life. I've installed my son on the throne. I've taken care of everything. Now I'm leaving home. I'm about to die. What is my duty? Very relevant question for all of us. We're about to die. May not be 7 days, could be 70 years, 7 minutes, 7 months. We don't know when we're going to die. There's a time bomb strapped to our leg, and we have no idea when it's going to blow.
Note that one down, Mara.
Time bomb strapped to leg could blow.
At any moment, it's coming.
It's
but it's true. Yeah. And so in that story, we see that you had this sage, right? And Shamika Rishi was his name. And he was, in one sense, he was insulted by Parikit. Parikit acted out of character. He draped a snake over his shoulders. He comes out of his meditation. That wasn't a nice thing to do, right? Not a nice thing to do. But he forgave because that's his beauty, right? He does not take offense. He just lets go of these things.
Yeah, Prickett was in the wrong for doing that, but he forgave him.
It was wrong, but yeah, for him, it just went off off the back, like water off the back of a duck. But his son Shringi, he hadn't mastered himself as a yogi the same way. He had yogic powers, but he didn't have this forgiveness, which is, the real beauty of the tapasvi, or the beauty of the yogi. And so he became so angry that his father had been insulted that he did something tragic, right? Just lost it and cursed this king in this way. Now, when the king was informed that he'd been cursed, he was like a sage himself, right? Even though he was a warrior, not a forest-dwelling sage, he had the forgiveness of the sage. He said, this is actually all my fault, right? He didn't say, what the hell is this boy doing? This is way out of order.
You better counteract it. You better take back that curse. No.
Yeah, and it said that he also had the power to respond to it, but he accepted it. He forgave. And so this is what Srila Prabhupada is bringing up here. He says, Parikshit Maharaj, for example, was unnecessarily cursed by a Brahmana boy, and this was very much regretted by the boy's father. But Parikshit Maharaj accepted the curse and agreed to die within a week as the Brahmana boy desired. Parikshit Maharaj was the emperor and was full in power, both spiritually and materially. He could have said, have him arrested, right? That kind of thing.
Right, sure.
But out of compassion and out of respect for the Brahmana community, he did not counteract the action of the Brahmana boy, but agreed to die within 7 days. Because it was desired by Krishna that Parikshit Maharaj agree to the punishment so that the instruction of Srimad Bhagavatam would thus be revealed to the world, Parikshit Maharaj was advised not to take action. So that's the whole setup to what we read every day here. He had 7 days left. He wandered off to the river. He met the sages there. Shukadeva Goswami came. He said, I'm about to die. Tell me, what is my duty? And he said, sit here for 7 days. We're talking Bhagavatam. And that's the book that we read. So,
Kaustubha.
Yes.
Oh, you want to finish that?
Well, if you got a point, go ahead, share.
I got a point here. Especially within the yoga system, this is why there is yamas and niyamas are supposed to be taught before you learn asana, pranayama, right? Because before we're going to give you this incredible, powerful system that's going to transform your life, make you right. What happens when you really get good at yoga? Your mind becomes still, you become healthy, you become calm, you become glowing, you become attractive to other people. Before we're going to give you this power, you have to learn how to handle power.
Good point.
People carry guns. The most dangerous thing is to carry a gun and you don't know how to use a gun, or any type of heavy machinery. You got to know how to use the heavy machinery.
License.
You can't just take power into your own hands. Electricity. You got to become a qualified electrician before you go screwing around with a screwdriver and some scissors in a power. What are they called?
I don't know. Power.
Come on, Mara.
Scissors.
No, the fuse box. Fuse box. You can't just start snipping things, screwing things.
You don't bring a pair of scissors to a fuse box, Raghunath.
No, you don't.
They have little switches.
Some people do. They got to cut wires. Okay. Anyway, my point is you can't use the energy unless you know how to handle that energy. That's why yamas and niyamas are supposed to be studied and imbibed and lived first. We're just jumping right over, going to let's get physical, let's get fit, let's get sexy. And we start to develop all these potencies of the yoga practice,
and you can't handle
yoga practice, and we don't even know how to handle that yet because we're such dented cans. We're driving around jalopies, and we're driving off cliffs with all this.
I love the metaphors. Okay. We're driving around jalopies.
We went from dented can to driving jalopies.
But, and we see that also, like, for instance, when you had these gurus in Mahabharata, like you take Dronacharya, he wouldn't just, he was training people to chant mantras, to fire weapons that could send thousands of arrows, like in an instant. You don't just give that to anyone, right?
Yeah.
Your character would be tested before you be given such power.
He gave it to his son.
And his son misused it.
What was his son's name, Mara? Quick.
Drillpud?
Oh. Mara. You're like in the same ballpark, but like totally
close.
off.
You're close. But
it's like you said
completely wrong. The opposite of that.
You said center field, and it was really like catcher. It was like you were in the ballpark, but like totally off.
Son of Drona gave a weapon to
Ashvatthama?
There you go.
Ashvatthama, you got it. But she had to call a friend.
Oh, phone a friend.
Phone a friend.
So yeah, it's a great point. You study yama niyama first. If you want to be a real yogi, you practice self-control. That's nonviolence, control. Sexual control. Not lying, not desiring material things, letting material things go, not stealing, not taking anything that's not yours. And then the niyamas, the different regulations. Cleanliness, austerity, contentment, self-study, and ultimately, Ishwar Pranadhan, giving your life to God. The yamas and the niyamas. Once you practice that, you start to be prepared to take on, to deal with the power that you get through yoga. I like your point, Raghu. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, so let me finish this commentary now.
Please.
So Prabhupada continues. He says, because it was desired by Krishna that Parikshit Maharaj agreed to the punishment so that the instruction of Srimad Bhagavatam would thus be revealed to the world, Parikshit Maharaj was advised not to take action. A Vaishnava, a Bhakti-yogi, is personally tolerant for the benefit of others. When they do not show their prowess, this does not mean that they are lacking in strength. Rather, it indicates that they are tolerant for the welfare of the entire human society. Okay, so, and another lesson in there, in this commentary, is that sometimes someone treats us in a way, puts us in a position, removes us from a position, and it feels unfair. It may even feel offensive. But the Vaishnava is saying, maybe Krishna has a plan for me. Maybe God has a plan, right? I don't need to adjust everything. If it's been adjusted this way, let me see. Maybe something greater grows out of it. Maybe something develops that would have never developed if this didn't happen. Right?
A greater plan.
So in Parikshit's case, it was that he met his guru. He heard Bhagavatam, and he, perfected his life. The beauty of the tapasvi, or saintly person, is forgiveness. Love it. All right.
Great.
Want to continue?
Text 49. My dear Lord, you are never bewildered by the formidable influence of the illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, you are omniscient and should be merciful and compassionate towards those who are bewildered by the same illusory energy and are very much attached to fruitive activities.
You know what, Raghunath? Just hearing both of these verses that we just heard. Here it said, you should be merciful and compassionate. Don't be offended. Don't react. Toward those who are bewildered by the same illusory energy. And then in the previous verse, it said, knowing that they commit offenses because they are overpowered by the illusory energy. All right? So the idea is that how do we forgive? How does someone become forgiveful, even not just on the surface level, but deep down where they're, it's one thing to forgive, okay, I'm not going to do anything, but still inside it's eating one up a little bit, right? But for that forgiveness to be thorough and right down to the bone marrow, like complete forgiveness. It's based on knowledge. It's not mere sentiment, but it's based on the clear vision that practically everyone in this world is moving under the illusion. It begins with the illusion that I'm this body. And once we identify with the body, we begin to, think, I'm black, I'm white, I'm short, I'm tall, I'm attractive, I'm unattractive, I'm this, I'm that. And it creates a sense of insecurity. It begins to create a sense of fear, right? If I am this body, I'm very vulnerable. I could die at any moment, right? So this illusion leads to fear, which leads to the kind of actions or the kind, that offend another, And the person, the wise person, they're realizing, how many lifetimes have I operated in illusion? Even in this lifetime, how much of the time am I in illusion? This illusory power, which this person is acting under the influence right now, I also act under the influence of sometimes, for sure, right? So let me not hold it against the person within the body that is under illusion. Let me not take it personally. Let me understand that that's how this material world works. It puts people in illusion, and I've spent a lot of time in it myself. So I take no offense, right? And I see whatever's coming at me as a result of my own karma. I accept it. I'm going to grow through it. I'm gonna see what opportunities it presents. This is the way, that the sages think.
Beautiful. Text 49. Nope, text
No, we don't.
text
Text
50.
50.
My dear Lord Shiva, you are a shareholder of a portion of the sacrifice, and you are the giver of the result. The bad priests didn't. We're the bad priests
Oh, that's pretty good.
from Melbourne. We're the bad priest did not deliver your share.
That priest that has all kind of really negative connotations. I think we just go there.
The bad priest did not deliver your share, and therefore you destroyed everything, and the sacrifice remains unfinished. Now you can do the needful and take your rightful share. Right.
So
So when you do
saying-
this yagya, you're doing these oblations, these offerings, and Lord Shiva is one of the people you offer it to. You can't have an offering and not offer something to Lord Shiva.
Right. So Brahma is saying it was a good thing that Daksha was trying to do. Granted, he screwed the whole thing up. But if you can find it in your heart to forgive him, then let's let this happen again, and everyone will benefit. It'll be good for everyone.
My dear Lord, by your mercy, the performer of the sacrifice, King Daksha, may get back his life. Bhaga may get back his eyes, right? Bhaga got his eyes.
Blocked
Brigu even may get his mustache back.
Oh man, he's
And
like
Pusha is going to go to Colombia because there's cheap dentists and may get his teeth back.
Oh, okay,
He gets veneers.
all right.
Can I get a mustache back? Oh, Lord Shiva, may the demigods and the priests whose limbs have been broken by your soldiers recover from the injuries by your grace. Oh, destroyer of the sacrifice, please take your portion of the sacrifice and let the sacrifice be completed by your grace. He's appealing to him.
That's
He's
the
appealing to Lord Shiva.
that's the end of the chapter.
Yeah, that's it.
But we still have some time left, so we can dip in a little bit to this commentary here, all right? Because we're hearing that word sacrifice again all the time, right?
Dip, my friend, dip.
So Prabhupada writes, a sacrifice is a ceremony performed to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 2nd chapter, it is stated that everyone should try to understand whether the Supreme Personality of Godhead is satisfied by their activity, right? In other words, if what a sacrifice is it means it's a ceremony that's designed to please God, then one could ask, do all my activities please God? And am I turning my entire life or all of my activities into sacrifice? And that's what the yogis are trying to do. In other words, the aim of our activity should be to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just as in an office, it is the duty of the worker to see that the proprietor or the master is satisfied. So everyone's duty is to see whether the Supreme Personality of Godhead is satisfied with one's activity. Now, when we hear that, how could one respond, Raghu?
I'm going to pass this one to Mara.
Are you even listening to me?
You know what? I was living in a turbo scenario revenge.
What
if
happened?
you want the honest truth.
Revenge scenario.
I just had some
What?
turbo scenario going on.
What
I'm
were
just
you
like,
doing?
like some
Who
like
were you-
some like
Can you even talk about
I
it?
can't talk
or-
about it. I can't talk about
Okay.
it. But I've got a lot going on in my head right now, and I sort of zoned out. If you want the God honest truth, and
Okay,
I'm big enough to admit it to 27,000 listeners.
All right. All right.
I apologize.
It's okay.
I got some stuff going on. I was doing something murderous in my head. I take
Really?
it back. Yeah,
Okay.
not murderous, but Mara, do you have an answer for him?
No.
Okay.
She's like a mile away from it now, too. I'll read it again. Prabhupada is right. Now, when
Now
you
I'm
hear this,
listening.
it can sound like, oh, come on, man. Are you trying to make me some kind of like, I don't know, peon in life, like some kind of, pawn or something like that. So Prabhupada wrote, just as in an office, it is the duty of the worker to see the proprietor or the master is satisfied. So everyone's duty is to see whether the Supreme Personality of Godhead is satisfied by one's activity. Okay. Activities to satisfy the Supreme are prescribed in Vedic literature, and execution of such activities is called yagna. Now, that sounds just like a bad deal, like
Right.
I got to be this peon forever, but
Right.
it's really not like that. And we've spoken about this in depth before, but the idea is that just like a plant has a root and every leaf is satisfied when the leaf is serving the root, and when the root is watered, every leaf is nourished by that. So by reconnecting to our root, we all benefit big time. And not only in terms of our maintenance, but in terms of our happiness, in the terms of our joy, in the terms of our bliss. When that connection is made, our bliss is restored or revived.
What happens when the leaves fall? They become dry.
They dry up. They
Right?
separate.
They dry up. They become brown. They wrinkled.
Yeah.
So there is no real happiness separate from the root.
Right.
The real connection is with the root.
It's like if the leaf said, yo, like enough of this, like I'm tired of like being attached to this plant and I'm breaking out on my own. I'm not going to be just some little leaf on the tree anymore. Right?
We are connected with the roots, whether we like it or not.
That's right.
Happiness without God, we're like listen to this poem. The leaves become dry, we cry and drop with the breeze. Shelter.
Oh,
Aeronautical.
Shelter. Okay.
Shelter lyrics.
Okay,
Circa
let's hear that again.
1991.
Let's hear it again. Say it again.
You're the roots of creation and we're just some leaves. By fulfilling your desire, we find our relief.
This is
Enjoyment apart from you creates more grief. These leaves become dry, we cry and drop with the breeze. I tried to gratify my senses. What have I gained? So-called pleasure is a cessation of pain. Fooled myself with love again and again, attracted by romance, smashed in the end, surrounded by people, but left all alone. And even amongst friends, I felt far from home, but we're one with each other. But you're different from me, like a drop from the sea. If you want to be free, Saranagati.
Saranagati. Nice. And what does Saranagati mean?
Fully trust your Lord. Fully give yourself to the Lord.
Yeah.
I'm repurposing the word surrender. I'm changing that word. Surrender sounds like
It's
the
sweet surrender.
The FARC, some type of militant group's got you, and you're like, I give up. It's not surrender like that.
No,
it's like
surrender
a
like
loving
this.
trust that you're
Sometimes-
being reclaimed by the very person who loves you more. Like a baby doesn't surrender to the mother. The baby just hugs the mama.
Okay. Sometimes the child will surrender to the parents. But think of it as like sometimes within romance it's described as a surrender, right? Like
Sing
understand?
Sing it. You got one.
I don't. What do you
Sweet
think it
surrender, isn't that one?
Is that who was that? Was that
I don't know.
is it John Denver or something like that?
Sweet surrender. I don't know. There's
one
one
some
some
John Denver. Any case, it's surrender like that. Surrender to love. To love, Raghunath.
surrender to love.
Try that one out.
I'm just
Beautiful
I'm gonna
lyrics.
change the word. I'm not going to use surrender anymore. It's not a good word.
You're gonna have to use it because it's all throughout Prabhupada's books, Raghunath.
I know, but we change things. We change sin because we don't like that.
Okay, you can
That
change
weird.
it, but maybe you should just surrender.
No.
No. No, but in all honesty, those are fantastic lyrics, Raghunath. Everyone should go look that song up today.
Sharanagati, shelter.
There you go.
You're kind. Thank you.
Mira,
All right,
any
it's time. It's
takeaways?
6:59. I wonder what our takeaways today. Takeaways at the end of the show. If you're new to this, we take little clips of things that we said. Sometimes something intelligent comes out, or sometimes we hear something from the purport that we're like, yes. And then we can like write these down. We bring them home, carry them with us for the course of the day, and maybe apply them. Mara, what do you got here?
All right. No blame, no reasoning, no argument, just understanding.
Wow.
Tick knock knock.
Tick knock knock.
Tick knock knock.
Rewire and recalibrate the vehicle by hearing wisdom daily.
Yeah.
We're doing time in the material world, hopefully to learn lessons.
Yep.
Tread with care with everyone you meet.
Yeah. Tread. Don't tread on me. Don't tread on me.
Unless you do it with care.
Taking offense is the first domino binding us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dominoes don't bind, though, Raghunath. You see, that's a mixed metaphor.
Knocking
It's
us
All right.
over.
yeah,
All right, let's
knocking
try
us
that one
over.
again.
There you go.
Domino. What is it? Taking
Offense is the first domino.
the offense of the first domino that creates
That's it. That's enough.
that creates a plethora of other bad qualities.
Dominoes don't create qualities, though. You see, they fall and knock you over.
It's an analogy.
No, it's a mixed metaphor.
Taking offense is the first domino.
It's
Moving
a
on.
double entendre.
The beauty of a tapasvi is forgiveness.
The beauty
Yeah.
of the okay.
But forgive me, Raghunath, for correcting you.
It's okay. I'm a tapasvi.
Okay.
My
They're
beauty.
beautiful too.
We have a time bomb that's going to blow in just a moment.
Jiva G Life Coaching says, drive my jalopy into Krishna's chop shop.
Okay.
You can't use the energy unless you know how to handle the energy.
All right.
Handle the energy. It's like sort of like a speed metal band.
Okay.
Do all of my activities please God? And there is no real happiness without connecting to the roots.
That's right.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us here live on Zoom. You can join us live on Zoom too if you want. Go to wisdom of the no. Email Mara, wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. And then you can get the secret codes, you others out there just listening randomly, driving your car. We want to see your beautiful face. Join us live here on Zoom. Make sure, everybody, if you haven't done it, go to Apple Podcasts and give us a review. 5 stars, please. We're only accepting 5 stars in those reviews. And tell us how you got here. Tell us your story, maybe. Tell us why you like the podcast or how you came to Bhakti. And yeah, thanks for everybody for joining us. Q&A day comes up on Saturday. You can also write your questions into Mara, Wisdom of the Sages 108@gmail.com. And of course, Wisdom of the Sages is a community-supported podcast. And we want to thank everybody that supports us through patreon.com/Wisdom of the Sages. You just give a monthly contribution of your choice, and that helps me and Kaustubha eat. And so we really appreciate it. If you don't want to feed us, that's fine. That's okay. We don't need anything. We're good. Tapas is good. But if you do want, if you want to afford us putting some salt on our bread, then just make a monthly donation for whatever you
Someone
get.
send you a little bag of salt.
Yeah.
that was a metaphor too.
Yes. And thanks. We do this every day. If you just tuned in for the first time, because we got 27,000 downloads yesterday.
No, we
Hey,
didn't.
What did we
That
get?
was 2 days ago. We got
2
over
days
10.
ago. Come on.
Yeah, we got over 10.
Okay, we got over 10. Whatever. That's still good.
For Sunday, that's really good. Sunday's usually like a slow day.
Let me exaggerate, please.
Right, sorry, I'm
The
correcting
point
you.
is
I'm
the
sorry.
same.
I'm
A lot of
correcting
people.
you.
Lots of people out there. Should I have
Forgive
just
me.
kept it vague? Lots of people are listening out there. So, I can't remember what I was going to say. I was going to say thanks for listening or something.
Okay.
I'm just going to dance.
Hey, Parmananda's playing Saranagati over there.
Is Parmananda playing Saranagati? He might just be writing songs.
Playing something.
He might be writing songs with the music off.
Maybe he's playing along with
He's
my
playing-
boys.
No, I
Doesn't
can
look
tell
like
by
it.
his fingers. He's playing Saranagati. I can read his fingers.